There's double active cases in the UK than there are in Indonesia. So if you're telling me that the UK is safer than Indonesia, you know, the US is having problems with the Delta variant, the UK is having problems with the Delta variant, even Israel, who's inoculated most of its population, is having problems.
Can you say Indonesia is much worse than any country in Europe? I don't think you can.
No. Good afternoon, Selamat siang from Jakarta. We're just having a walk around, just walking along the river right now. In our area, which is the kind of business district, Kuningan kind of area. This is where a lot of the skyscrapers are, and it's quite beautiful. It's a nice area, I have to admit. We've been getting a lot of messages from people in regards to the situation, what's happening here in Indonesia, and things are changing rapidly, and there's been a lot of changes recently, and you know, there are more and more cases every day, which is understandable. There's 50 to 60k cases every day. There's about 1,000 deaths, and things are kind of increasing here, so it's looking like a bit of a tricky situation. But the thing is the one thing the media is not doing is being completely honest with the current situation here in Jakarta, or here in Indonesia, really. Especially
media from different countries, I feel.
Yeah. The thing is,
we get messages from, we obviously have family in the UK, we hear from them what they say in the UK. So what is being said is not entirely correct.
No. The thing is what they're now saying in the news is, you know, it's the epicenter of COVID, and that it's worse than India, and, you know, basically saying, you know, that it's basically ground zero kind of thing, and that everything is falling apart. And, you know, they're basically saying, in some articles, they're basically saying people are dying on the streets. And, you know, if you look around me, you know, people are out, and, you know, this isn't the first time the media does things like this.
No, in fact, I feel that's what they've been doing throughout this pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think we are really exposed to it, because we're from different countries, and throughout the pandemic we've been living in different places as well. We've got different lockdowns, so we've actually seen this a lot.
The media, what they do is they take figures and they distort them, and they scare people by basically taking these things and basically trying to make these sound as bad as possible, basically to sell a newspaper. And that's kind of what ends up happening.
Well, so what we're saying is that, having lived in different countries, I've been like in Italy for about 6 months in the last year, and then in the UK for 3 months, we could actually see very clearly what's happening, and how in a different country the news you hear are different, which shouldn't be the case if they are just reporting data.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that according to the data and according to these things, India, who was the worst affected country, is now doing better than Indonesia. But let me tell you, India has 31 million total cases, whereas Indonesia has only got 4 million. And if you look at the population size of Indonesia, it's 280 million, which means it's one of the most populated countries in the world. If you look at the figures of active cases, there are more active cases in the UK
in fact,
than there are in Indonesia.
Double.
There's double active cases in the UK than there are in Indonesia. So if you're telling me that the UK is safer than Indonesia...
So we are not, disclaimer, we are not saying the situation is not bad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be, it don't need to be a restriction. We are not saying anything like that. It's fair, there are rules and everything. But what we are trying to say is that what gets advertised as Indonesia being the worst is it's not how it is.
So the population size of the UK is 65 million and Indonesia's 280 million. So if you compare how many cases, you think that Indonesia would have a lot more, but actually the active cases in the UK are 770,000 versus 400 and something thousand in Indonesia.
Yeah, so what we are saying is basically how likely are you to catch COVID in UK versus Indonesia?
Yeah, you're more likely to catch COVID in the UK than you are in Indonesia, but
we're obviously not talking about the hospital situation and being hospitalised or dying.
But saying that, yeah, the UK has vaccinated more of its population, which is absolutely fine. But let me tell you,
again, you're more likely to catch COVID there than you are in here.
It's true. Indonesia have brought in over something like about 118 million vaccines to their population, and they are planning on inoculating, or they're inoculating around 1 million a day. So they are getting the vaccines out. And the thing is it looks bad because it's such a big country, so it just can't be compared to anything that is happening in the West. Look at Brazil, look at USA, look at UK. You know, all these countries have got huge amounts of active cases. And in comparison to a country like Indonesia, Indonesia is almost like a drop in the ocean in that sense. I mean, look at the figures. I mean, I can put the figures up here and look how far Indonesia is. Look at how many to the population. So when you say 280 million, and look at how many COVID cases there are to each million population, you'll see Indonesia is really far down that list in terms of the countries. In fact, it's near, I think you said it was like the 128th country or something on the list.
Oh, it's far away, I think.
It was. So there is so little cases of COVID compared to the population. I appreciate there are a lot in Java and in Bali and certain parts of Indonesia.
That's because we're the biggest city you are.
You just got to look around you and see what's happening out here, and it's not all doom and gloom. There is a lot of positivity, and there is a lot of, everyone's very friendly. It's been so friendly so far. You know, when the media spreads news like that, what happens is it's really bad, because suddenly locals get very worried about people like foreigners, and foreigners, they start to shy away from you. And we've seen it in countries. People are scared of you because you've got COVID and don't want to be near you. But here, people have been so friendly to us. Hello, you know, saying hello everywhere. Happy to interact with us. It's just been, hello, how are you doing? Yeah.
It doesn't mean we are not saying the situation doesn't need to be controlled and it's not bad. We are just saying it's not exactly what people are saying necessarily.
You know, I have utmost faith in Indonesia to deal with this, and I think sometimes the media creates this kind of doom and gloom situation, but actually, you know, things aren't necessarily like that, and not all the hospital beds are taken up. You know, there are shortages of oxygen, but where aren't there shortages of oxygen dealing with COVID? You know, that's part of the crisis. You know, this country is definitely handling it in a way. They never did lockdowns before, and now they're doing a lockdown. They are taking things and taking precautions and taking action where needed. It's difficult because it's such a big country, so there is potential for a lot of cases, but you can't compare it to nations, especially countries like UK. I mean, UK.
Can you say Indonesia is much worse than any country in Europe? I don't think you can.
No. I mean, you can't. I mean, the UK has vaccinated most of its population, and people are still dying of COVID-19.
And even if they're not, they're still spreading cases.
Yeah,
There's so many cases. We know so many people who got it even recently.
And that's why I want to say that, you know, Indonesia is definitely safer than you think. You know, you have to take precautions, but you know, and I think as well is the big issue with Indonesia, and the downfall of Indonesia is it's got such a big population that hospitals wise it doesn't necessarily have the massive healthcare to deal with 280 million. I think as well, what doesn't help the situation is a lot of maskless people, especially the locals. They don't wear their masks, and they don't like to wear their masks.
There's always a lot of kids as well.
Yeah.
Kids obviously don't wear masks. They just don't. In fact, when we started this video, there was a group of kids just down there, all maskless.
Really?
It's like 10 kids. But yeah, where is your mask?
We found a cat that's not wearing a mask.
Naughty cat.
So I think the other crazy thing they said was that some of the media were saying that they believe that half of the population of Jakarta have contracted COVID. I mean, these kind of...
Yeah, which means they technically reached herd immunity.
I mean, these kind of accusations are mental. And Julia was saying earlier, she said this about a person, this would be defamation and libel. Yeah. You would have a court case on your hands, you know?
Yeah.
It's mad. It's funny that all these Western media are all portraying this, because actually You know, the US is having problems with the Delta variant, the UK is having problems with the Delta variant, even Israel, who's inoculated most of its population, is having problems, you know. I think this is a real ongoing issue for all countries. But look, we are here. We're definitely, you know, masking up and staying in as much as possible. This is why there's not that much updates wise. People are training here, people are running. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so what's happening at the moment is it's a lockdown in Java and in Bali. And it's been going on for 2 weeks. It's going to be on till the 20th. We have a strange feeling that things might get extended depending on how things are going. But anyway, big up for anyone that's messaged us and staying in touch with us. And yeah, great vibes here in Indonesia. The food has been top notch. I think Malaysia, you've got a rival here. But yeah, it's good vibes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's keeping safe, not doing much.
Keep it safe.
Waiting for it to pass.
Staying inside, waiting until the 20th to see what happens. But otherwise, in the
Really
Airbnb
enjoyable.
and just chilling and just, yeah, it's good.
It's good.
I keep getting put off by people walking past. There's always people on the streets here in Jakarta. There's
Yes, very busy.
it's very busy.
Very busy for a city in lockdown.
Yeah. One last message we want to say is take the media with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Right, guys, we will see you guys on the next one.